or leave at 6:30 to be up there for 8:30.
No, I went and bought another one. I just don't have time to mess with that again. I think it's something like, no, not for a long time, the way it is.
Bring it back, will you, Bill?
Give me a call, say hi. It's got so much electric, everything's all electric over hydraulics, so when you start.
Yeah. Find everything. It works better than bringing it all back across and it gets lost in the shuffle.
Exactly, and it's like pieces parts and blood and distraction.
Yeah, you're trying to look at something and the paper comes back in front of you and it's like, what are we doing here?
Right. Bless her heart.
You know, that's probably, just one of the days where you.
Yeah.
Is that gonna crowd?
Hey, Bill, no, it's fine. Pin back.
Okay.
I just try to take my stuff as we go and
No,
look
and
it
I
over.
don't wanna.
No, you're fine. I got plenty of room.
I can always set them up. Yeah, actually,
No, you're fine, Nicole. Leave it there. You're fine. I got plenty of room.
just so I can have room to write.
Yeah, I got all my emails. Well, my last night, one was left.
Okay. Marked all of this, if you guys.
Yeah, I've got Chris here this morning. I'm gonna sign off on the deficiency reports, but he got some questions about some others. But I gotta get that one more time before it's signed. Since then, we've taken care of it, but I need to make sure that he has a copy of that.
Well, you know, there's a lot of guys right around, you never realize that, what it's like. You know.
Have any questions on plans?
No, I've asked him directly about them.
Anyway, but he had two of them, he lost in World War II. He's all over there.
Diane's gonna address this, but this is,
And he's all around piling it.
this is that he's gonna provide because we had now account interest, like bank interest and stuff like that.
Get applied.
Yeah, it's in now for April 30th, so, and I didn't bring that with me. So it's gonna be a few thousand.
No, I see this here, about
But at least it's more, not less.
the rental unit.
But she might have brought,
You know, what they ought to do, put a big liability fence.
Got a couple seconds here before we start.
Them guys in there.
Go ahead, I think they approve it, eliminate the.
Okay.
Verbal, and on the 17th, it'll be official, so that way Chuck can get it in there and all that crap.
That would be great, cause I was gonna send him an email.
And I was gonna talk to you about it because we got kind of, because it's not going to. Just eliminate the problem and then he has no choice.
I like that, that's good.
I wonder.
Anything else?
Yeah, I'll get with it.
I got a couple things that, maybe after orders we can talk.
Okay. All right, folks, it's 9 o'clock. I'm gonna call the meeting to order. Let's start with the pledge, please. We do have a sign-up sheet out there, so if you haven't signed up, please do. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sam, would you care to lead us in prayer, please? Sure.
Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you today to give you honor, glory, and praise. Thank you for an absolutely wonderful day you made for us. Your love and mercy and grace made new. Watch over us all, guide us as a county, guide the commissioners. Lord, they got a lot of decisions to make, as well as the council. And Lord, watch over John Reeves as he prepares for surgery this morning, Lord. May the outcome be good. Please forgive us where we fail you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. All right, we do have a quorum this morning. All three commissioners are here. And our supporting cast, Cole filling in for Sheila this morning, and Attorney Jim Bryant. In the matter of the minutes, do I hear a motion to approve minutes for April 19th, 2021?
I make a motion, we approve those minutes.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Bob and a second by Dale. Excuse me, throat's a little horsey this morning. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 3-0. In the matter of claims, do I hear a motion to approve claims for 5/3/21?
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion by Dale. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a second by Bob. All in favor? Aye. Okay. The Crow report adoption. Just a verbal agreement here, gentlemen. We can take a vote on this, that we're going to approve the Crow report as a county document moving forward. Do I hear a motion to accept that report?
I make a motion, we accept that report.
Have a motion. Motion by Bob, a second by Dale. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 3-0. Guardian Fire Systems. Chris, you want to come up here, the table there? And I appreciate you showing up on a short notice here this morning.
I'll do the best I can, because Brian's was,
Exactly, and he said he had a commitment, so just trying to get some answers. And I apologize. This was taken care of previously by our maintenance man back in 19. Then Jeff Brothers, previous commissioner, kind of took over and it's kind of got thrown in my lap. So I'm trying to figure out what all we got going here.
Right, yeah.
And we appreciate your service. Love using local companies, obviously.
Thank you.
Have no problem with your 3-year agreement contract. You do have a 3% increase built into that.
Correct.
So I guess what I need to do is kind of go back and look and see what we've done previously. But what our biggest concern was this morning is, where's Chris? He's there. He had, Chris, and help me out here.
Brian sent me all the reports, so I'm looking at them all.
Okay. For Chris, on the 13 fire extinguishers, there was a bill, or could it be a bill for $1,962? Is that right, Chris? Something like that. We just had a question because Corson before brought the vehicle to the, and did all that stuff. You guys charging us like $800 for service and delivery. We just wanted to question that a little bit.
Okay.
To see if there's anything there we can do.
And I can discuss it with Brian and see if we can do something with it. We take them back to the shop and we refurbish everything in the shop. So we
Right.
don't have the mobile.
I don't expect you to work for nothing, but since we
Right.
already have a 3-year contract with you, I'd like to see a little bit of lenience on some of
Okay.
those charges.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go ahead and sign our deficiency reports. I think we can go ahead and agree on the 3-year contract.
Okay.
But I'd like to negotiate some of these other items with you
Yeah,
if we could.
I'll get with Brian after the meeting here and discuss it and see if we can, I'm not sure how he based his price, you know, I mean,
Right.
he takes care of all of the fire alarm, fire extinguisher for me. That does all of that.
Sure.
And he called me late last night, like, hey, I need you to, so I'm kind of got thrown on this real quick, so.
Well, and again, I appreciate you being here. We're just trying to make sure that we're not being
Yeah, no, I-
overcharged and cutting pennies where we can.
I'm
So.
sure we can probably adjust some of this to make it a little bit.
Okay, again, with the 3-year contract, I don't have a problem with it. Matter of fact, I think that we were ready to vote on it last time. We had a decision about the backflow valves, and I think you guys have already done a couple of those.
Yeah.
And Sam informed us that HFI was taking care of some here in the courthouse.
Yeah.
I've got to call into Mike.
Yeah, I remember back
HFI.
whenever working with Dan originally, and I met with Dan, and then I had another fire alarm guy at the time doing the fire alarm portion of it. There was a lot of I mean, it was audit is verbal here, this is what we got, this is what, we didn't really have like a set RFP. So it was like, go to the building, walk the building, well, things got missed, like there was an extinguisher that didn't get found, or there was a lot of miscommunication, I think, in the original of what we were actually doing and what we weren't doing. Just like the backflow preventers, they should have been incorporated in it originally, but we didn't.
Right.
We weren't even told about them.
Yeah,
So.
and you have now. In the
Right, Brian's very thorough.
Right.
I hired him recently.
Totally enjoyable to work with.
Yeah, he's very thorough with what he does, so I'm sure he's making sure to get everything up to speed, because last year we weren't able to get in
Right.
and take care of a lot of stuff because of the COVID situation.
So you and I are about in the same spot.
Yeah.
You need to get information from him, and I'm
Right.
trying to get caught up on
Yeah.
what's happened previously,
Yeah,
so.
I brought him on.
Information from them, yeah.
Brought him on, I was like, here, Owen County, you need to get with them, get this contract, make sure we're up, everything's up to date with them. So that's what he's been working on, is trying to get everything compliant with the state.
Jim, do you have any questions for Chris at this time?
Not a question, but I think I have a duty though to use the commissioners. Guardian's under contract right now. There's an existing contract. So in all candor, I guess what I'm asking, they're under contract. There's definitely inspections that have to be corrected. Prior to you as commissioners approving this new 3-year contract, since it's going to be an increase, I would respectfully request that we actually have the contract, have it fully negotiated before, and then set this on our 17th, because because there's a couple things we have to do, commissioners. One, we've got to mutually terminate the existing contract, then obviously start with the new date of the contract, and but I would just be more comfortable if we have all this in writing on the negotiation, and as far as what you want on the backflow and on that service. And then I think we could handle all of those things on the 17th if that's acceptable.
It's fine with me, and I'll let these gentlemen speak, and I think Chris is probably on board with us here. Another couple of weeks, not gonna make a difference.
No, it's not.
Okay. Bob, you got anything? And Bob's over maintenance, so, Brian, you can work with Bob as well.
I'm with Jim that we, need to
Yeah.
get everything in writing so we know where we stand, where you stand, and everything being covered and stuff. And we'll, at that time, I've got no problem waiting, whether you say a couple more weeks.
Our next meeting's on the 17th.
Have you got any problem with that?
No, I don't. Maybe at that time I can have Brian in here too.
Yeah,
because
give us a
he's
little
the one
bit more
that's handling the
detail.
account, so-
Yeah, if he just wants to work with me through the next couple of weeks, and we'll forward everything to the attorney, we'll get all this thing hashed out.
Yeah.
That'd be great. And we, again, appreciate you working with us very
Okay,
much.
thank you.
All right, Chris, have a good day.
Thank you.
We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
All right.
All right. Next order of business, Surveyor Bill. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing good.
Bill had presented to the board and to the attorney about using his perpetuation fund to help eliminate some debt in some different departments, especially the building department, because Susan does a certain part of her job is for the surveyor. And I have asked her week and a half ago to break that percentage of her workload down. I've yet to see that number. Jim may have it. I was gone last week, so go ahead, Bill. I'll stop right there.
Well, every time there's a deed recorded, there's a certain amount of that recording goes to a perpetuation fund for me to hire surveyors to set sections on. 3 or 4 years ago, I saw that several counties were paying surveyors when they were out and there wasn't a section corner and they were doing a survey anyway. Pay them like a reward system for recording and putting one of our posts in the ground. So they were being paid for the work. We gave them extra for putting our post in the ground. Made it a whole lot easier. We were surveying, setting section corners where we really needed them. If you're in the middle of Cooper land up there in northern section corner in the middle of his field, but that allows us to do that. Saves us a lot of money. If I send a surveyor out, it's about $1,000 to $1,500 to set a corner. We're doing these for $150. probably need to raise them to 2, most counties raise 2, but that's another issue. But we have money in that fund. Part of the things that Susan does is she puts those on the GIS map. She plats everything, does everything. So part of that is related to that. And so I thought if we, because of the money crunch that the county's in, if we could take part of that money legally out of that, because it's gotta be for monumental fund, but Jim researched it, credit to Jim, that we could. And so I thought we would offer to do that to leave the county. We do
Well,
have-
and we appreciate you doing that, take all the pressure off of us that we can in every avenue. At that, I'll let Jim go ahead and speak on that a little bit here.
Sure, and as the surveyor just said, there's a $5 fee for any deed that's on the recorder, and by statute, under 36-2-710B7, that money goes into a county surveyor's corner perpetuation fund. Now, as of the 30th, that fund number is 1202, so on April 30th, that fund has over $101,000 in that. So the fund has to be, there has to be enough money in the fund to allow the surveyor to go ahead and perform his duties on that monument. There's very little, if any, that I could find in the past of expenditures coming out of that. So taking a look at that, what every fund has a reason that you can use it for. This is legitimate, this is not legitimate. So under 36-2-1211E, any money in the county surveyor's fund that's collected may be appropriated in any manner under that entire chapter. So the county surveyor is under 36-2-12. So any reason that's being used under Title 12, Section 12, is a legitimate use for that fund. Now, talking to the building director, roughly 15 to 20% of her time is directly related to the county surveyor in preparing these monuments. So there's a direct, absolute correlation between the director's work and the surveyor, which would open up that avenue for the fund. So what I would recommend, since the surveyor's in favor of it, this would definitely help the general fund, that in the range of 15 to 20% of the GIS building director's salary could be paid out of this fund. So if this is acceptable to the commissioners, it'd just be a kind of a voice vote that approval of this. This would then go to the county council in the form of a formal resolution. We want the resolution, an affidavit by the surveyor, an affidavit by the county building director, that this is what the fund is used, this is the amount. But it does definitely provide an opportunity, very, very good idea by the county surveyor, reduce the general fund in this clause by about 15 to 20%. So it is, and it's a very good opportunity for the county.
Very good, and again, Bill, I appreciate you stepping forward with that. You and I had a brief conversation, had phone problems, staying connected, but we appreciate it very much. And I think that it's definitely something as a board here that we need to go ahead and approve that. I'm gonna make a motion that we use the 15 to 20% of the perpetuation fund from the surveyor to help pay part of the salary of the building department.
And if I may, sorry, I interrupted, subject to approval by the county council.
Correct. There again, subject to approval by the council, and I'm sure that they'll have no problem with that. So that's my motion. Do I hear a second?
I second that motion.
Okay, I have a motion made by myself, seconded by Bob. All in favor? Aye. So, Bill, with the approval of the council, that will help us tremendously. What else you got,
I
sir?
have 2 things on me. Jim is still researching to get you the actual thing. One, when people record surveys, they have a survey, they go record it. It's filed under the name of the person who recorded it. So, for example, Langwell Abstract. In the future, you try to find that property, and you can't find it, or maybe it's went through 5 or 6 names. I would like to, and I've talked to John Rees also, because when he's not in that office, this county's a world hurt, because he remembers every septic he's put in. I would like for us to talk about every survey when it's recorded, every septic tank having septic permit be recorded, and on that recordation, enter the parcel number, which will never change. So in the future, when realtors or whoever's trying to find permits, trying to find these, we'll have some. And I talked with the recorder, in the system we have, it's a matter of her entering 16-digit parcel number. It's already, the program's set up in the computer. So it's not any major work on her to do that.
Okay.
So I'd like, Jim will research the exact language of how to do that, and then put a recordation in. So that's that. The other thing is, the county surveyor has the responsibility of certifying liquor licenses as far as locations on the permits. That first struck me as odd, but they gotta be so far from the church and so far from the school. And the certification is, yes, Walmart's located at such and such an address, State Road 46. Most counties now are charging for those. We're not. And again, I'm happy, I'm not wanting the money, but if it would help the county, because we have some permits that have been requested that have never been activated. If we get to the point like Monroe County, and the growth I think we are as far as growth, that ups the value of a piece of real estate if you have a liquor license with
Sure.
a restaurant. And there's several of them that are sitting on them. If they're gonna make money off these things, we kind of ought to.
Sure. Yeah, the day of free
Fees range
gratis.
from $0 to $100.
Yep.
Across the board in different counties.
No, I agree with you. Both of those are things that we need to look at, extra opportunities for revenue coming in. We'll have Jim research both of those avenues and move forward with those. Obviously, there's not a decision to be made today. Just once the research is done, you can bring it back and we'll
I just
discuss
want to
it.
put it out there so you.
Yep, appreciate
And I
it
do
very much.
apologize, the last meeting, I got the email at 4 o'clock and I didn't read my email until 8 because I was in the field, so I missed the last meeting where this was on there, so I apologize.
And you called and told me that, so I appreciate that as well. So, anything else?
That's it.
All right, Bill, have a great day. Appreciate you being here this morning. So Jim, if you could research those two items, we'll try to move forward with those.
Okay.
Next on the agenda is the county storage units. If you remember from last meeting, we had a discussion about these. Asked Jim to prepare, get ready a notice to Vortec about dissolving the agreement that we have with them. We pay them 20% of the income for these units. Unfortunately, and I know that we're not necessarily in the business to run businesses, but we bought this piece of property 4 years ago with a business on it making income, and we basically let it fall down and ended up taking about $200,000 over a 5-year period out of general fund to help make this payment. And I think that we need to correct that by taking back control of this, putting that money back in the county's pocket instead of paying somebody else to do nothing. So that's where we're going with this. For anybody's information, we did discuss it last time. This payment's about $82,000 a year. I think we had $25,000 in that fund to pay that bill. So Sam and I have talked about this. Matter of fact, we have a plan. Sam, if you want to talk about it real quick, and it's not a commitment, but if you want to speak on what we talked about.
I know we owe, I think, $156,000 on the property is what's left. Got this deficit we're dealing with and stuff like that, and I think I'll know more about that here in the next month or so. There may be a situation where I can go ahead and pay for that property, get us up when I need that payment. Then turn the business back over to whoever's gonna manage the business to bring in some income. For however long we're gonna be, I mean, we're still moving forward with the jail project, but we don't know how long that's gonna be out. But we need somebody to manage the business in order to, any of them that's vacant, they need to be filled up, so we can bring in whatever income we can and save the 20% or part of that money anyway. We're gonna have to pay somebody to manage it, of course, but if things work out in the finance world here in the next month or so, there might be an opportunity for the county to get out from underneath that payment. And for it to be paid, it's clear, but we don't know that for sure.
Go ahead, Eddie.
Sir, I'll talk to you and Sam, on this briefly, and my question is, if somebody else was to take over this, is there enough revenue stream from the storage to pay that, salary going forward, or supplement a salary within the county to?
I don't think, Andy, that we're gonna create a new position to do this. I've talked to Sheila about it. She thinks that her office I honestly don't think that this is a time-consuming position. We collect rent, we make a documentation that we collected that rent. The only time that we're gonna have any time involved is somebody needs to go down and show a unit. And I'm thinking maybe once or twice a month at best. If Nicole wants to speak on that, because she's been part of this conversation, I think.
And only that this is Sheila's position, is that the office staff isn't necessarily comfortable with going down and showing by ourselves. So I know she was gonna talk to Sam, I don't know if she talked to you, Sam, about, having you or someone from your staff meet people to show them the units, since you're right there, or going with us to.
Well, she hasn't said anything about that, but that.
Okay. I know that that's her intention, so maybe going forward, she may talk to you about that.
Well, if that's gonna be the case, then you might wanna reconsider who's gonna be showing the units.
Right,
If
and that you would
gotta
need
take
to,
somebody from your department, somebody from my department, go show a unit to somebody, you might as well just take somebody from my department, go show the unit.
Correct.
and that would be great. I mean, that was her best case scenario, is
Yeah.
that you do that, but if not, at least to let us have an escort, because you just don't know.
Right, and the one thing we have to, and me and Andy's talked about it, and Gary and I's talked about it too, is the one thing we have to keep on track and remember, we're coming to the commissioners in the second meeting in June to present the jail project, the finances for the jail, where we're at with the jail project, numbers and stuff like that. That's gonna be a determining factor for the commissioners when they make their decision on what they're gonna do with the jail. Is it something that's gonna happen in a year or 2 years down the road, or 3 or 4 years down the road, something like that? If the jail project's gonna come into play here relatively soon, then our options for the storage unit will narrow down, so. See what I'm saying? If it's gonna be way down the road, then your options for the storage units are going to increase, because you're gonna be advertising, promoting your storage units, so on and so forth. If you're gonna build a jail within a year and a half, 2 years' time, you still want to rent as many as you can, but your options are gonna be smaller than they are if it's gonna be long-term event.
So going back,
Is he better than what, I didn't know you guys were kind of leaning in a certain direction.
we're not gonna put any expense on the county in any way, shape, or form. We're gonna put more money back into the counties, the whole purpose. Vortec received approximately $11,000 from the county last year, and I'm gonna be blunt, they did nothing for it. The units are falling apart, they have no maintenance agreement with the county. All this stuff was done back in 16. Again, it was a horrible deal then, it's a horrible deal now. We need to get back control of it and control it here. I see that you doing the paperwork at the office. Somebody calls in, wants to see a unit, we make a call to Sam, his people are right there, and we appreciate all the help that the sheriff department does for us. Go ahead.
That's okay. And to the county attorney, because like you said, I mean, and we accept Kathleen's Gymnastics rents properties, so that's not an issue at all with the auditor's office and processing payments. not a big deal at all. If there's a listing, to make sure that on a monthly basis, certain individual or those individuals are paying, that's something we can either create or can be emailed to us and we can maintain that, that's no problem. In the event that they do not pay and something needs to be sent out, then does that become, we notify Jim and let him know so that he can go after them as far as, we just don't wanna waste our time, we're not a collection agency. So if we could turn that part over, but we can notify and at least keep tabs on who is paying and who's not paying.
I think
That's not
once
a
it
problem.
falls into a, not paying their debt, obviously we turn it over to Jim at that
Perfect.
point.
Perfect.
And I think Jim probably agrees. We can send out a letter out of your office, but it has no authority until it was be presented
Right.
by a county attorney.
Right, to have something with teeth.
Jim, you have any problems with that? Or?
No, do you mind if I just go over a few numbers?
Sure.
So the county storage unit, there's 5 buildings. One of the buildings is maintained by the sheriff, so there's no public units, and that's building 2, just for identification purposes. So you get 4 other buildings, there's approximately 105 storage units in those 4 buildings. The units vary from 5 by 10 to 1025 as far as size. The rate runs from about $30 a month rental to $65 a month rental. Now, the storage unit fund is 4015. As of the 30th, there's $24,906 in that fund. As it's been set up, whether you had management or not management, or paid management, the amount of revenue that can be generated from those storage units will not make the mortgage payment of $81,000. Now, what's been set up right now is a 80-20%, as has been mentioned, to kind of put those numbers in some type of perspective. Roughly $55,000 is the total rent. Now, it could be a little more, a little less, but just a range to work with. $55,000. Of that, the county gets about $44,000. The Vortex management system would get 11 if it was straight 55. Now, as I think it's been said at other meetings, at the commissioners and council, that makes about one payment, makes the one and not the second payment. Getting completely technical, it leaves about a minus of about 37,000. Now, options of going, if it was run out of the auditor's office, there would be no management cost. So the 20% would go to 0 on it. That would be in a range of about 10,000 minimum to 15,000 maximum per year for the county. Now, in looking at it on starting this process, Vortex will have a written report prepared for you by the 17th meeting. It will explain how many units, what the vacancies are, overlook status, those type of things. There were questions just been brought up here as far as if a transition is made, what would be auditor's responsibility, attorney, sheriff, all of those parties. So at your 17th meeting, you would have at that point all of those questions answered. You also are going to have a written report by the current management system. Here's the status of this, but I think in general terms, in working this out of which way you want to go, if there was a change in management, it would be a 20% savings, because you're not, as I understand it from commissioners and council, you're not saying, now let's go find Acme or any other management. This would be an in-house, so there's an automatic 20% savings as far as it. With that, there's a duty part, but all that work now comes to the commissioners, the ledgers, the collection notice, overlook, showing, all of those tasks would still have to be done. With that, again, let's rates and everything, if it's still generating $55,000 to $60,000, you're still looking at about a $20,000 shortage, for it. Now, as what the sheriff has just pointed out, if your note is exhausted, if it's 0, now you have $55,000 coming in. general fund, however you wanna have it, whatever it's designated, that obviously would be quite a change, but $55,000 revenue minus an $82,000 expenditure.
Right, it would put it immediately $82,000 back in general fund the minute it was paid off, plus any of this additional money that comes in from the 20% that we've been giving away.
But I think factually, respectfully, I think it's the 17th is when you would have every single one. I think the auditor could present to you, this is what we can do. I can present to you, here's some things that the task that I could do and work on that transition. Then you would have enough to make a decision. Respectfully, I would think Vortex may also have, a presentation or something that they, present here, something they could look at, but if the 17th sounds acceptable, I do think that would be a good day to make the decision on.
Sounds real good. I'm gonna make another comment. The 55,000 that we're getting is based on the units that are rented. There's probably 40% of those units empty right now. And we have done nothing, and again, we've signed an agreement with Vortex for them to rent these units. They're not advertising them. You wouldn't know that those units are even down there, but yet we continue to build them all over the county and fill them up. We're doing something wrong. So anyway, I think with the additional revenue of the units that are empty would draw that gap pretty close. And at one time I had the exact numbers, maybe Sam has the exact numbers right now. I know he called Tiffany. Do you know exactly how many units are empty right now, Sam?
No, they haven't responded back.
Okay, I figured that.
The numbers I have, Commissioners, I have those, but they're from 2019, so I just didn't say we're 2020.
And I appreciate that too, Jim. So anyway, yeah, we'll discuss that back on the 17th, but I think it's the right direction to go for sure. So, and if we'd have done it to begin with, we'd have been $200,000 ahead of the game right now, so. All right, moving on. PTA BOA board member appointments. Kenny? How are you this morning?
I'm here.
Well, you gotta be somewhere, right?
As of the 1st of January, I need my PWA board, which is the Property Tax Board or Appeals Board. I need them 3 members reappointed by the commissioners. I only have 2 members. I'm still looking for the 3rd member. So I would like for you to appoint Margie Tucker and Debbie Keith as the 2 members of the Property Tax Board of Appeals. And I'd like for you to waive the level 2 requirement.
What's the level 2?
It's just a level of assessment. I'm a level 3, level 2s. There's level 1, level 2, level 3. It depends on how knowledgeable you are about the assessing world.
Did you have any questions?
Do you need the political party requirement waived also?
Yeah, there has to be, like in our case, 2 Republicans and 1
You
Democrat.
need that waived though.
I've got 1 and 1 right now, and I'll actually need, I'm looking for a Democrat because I have the council members is both Republicans, so I'll need,
I guess I'm just asking, do you want that requirement waived also in case you can't find?
yeah,
Okay.
So we need to include that in the motion today then.
And that's permitted by the statute, so it'd be a waiver of the level 2 and a waiver of the political affiliation requirement.
Bob, did you have any questions?
Yeah, Kenny, you couldn't find any but Debbie Keith. I have a little bit of trouble because of the relationship in your office and on the county council.
well, that's why I put
I'm
on the
uncomfortable with it.
commissioners appointee for one day. No, I can't find nobody else.
Can't find anybody,
No,
nobody from the real estate field wants to come in.
they don't wanna mess with it. It's like all other boards, nobody wants to be involved in it. And, it's something that you have to be free during the day, because normally we don't have night meetings. It's something that you can't take off work to come to a PWA meeting, and they pay you $50 a day. When you take off work and lose $150, so it's very hard to find people.
Okay, well, like I said, I'm kind of uncomfortable with it. I will go along with it, but if we get too many complaints, I want the right
Okay,
to voice that opinion back,
okay.
okay?
Very good.
And, you know, if things don't work out, we don't really.
Yeah, you try to keep a watch on it and see if you get too many complaints for that field. If it is, I think it's something that honestly needs to be changed.
Okay,
Because like I said, I have no trouble with it. It's not against anything against the board set up or you or anybody else, just my personal feelings, the way I feel. And stuff, and I don't. So,
All right, do I hear a motion to approve the appointments with the request to waive the level 2 and also the party affiliation moving forward?
I'll make a motion.
Have a motion by Dale, do I hear a second?
I second that motion.
Have a second by Bob. And that is to approve Margie Tucker and Debbie Keith to the PTA BOA board. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
and
There you
with the
go.
way the party affiliation, I can probably get the third member.
You're good to
I
go.
don't know who it is right offhand, but it's, I feel like I can get somebody.
Good. And they are, we know how hard these positions are hard to fill, so thank you, Kenny.
Thank you.
All right, Sheriff Department. Have anything this morning? Nope. Okay. Greg, Highway. First of all, I want to say congratulations on the new $961,000 community grant money. Good job on your staff putting that together. If I'm not mistaken, that is 3 in a row. And that's a very good thing for the county, so.
That's the first thing, Commissioners, I'd like to speak with you about. I spoke with Jim on Friday. He has set up a timeline in regard to putting the community crossing projects out for bid. I don't know if you've seen them yet, but I saw it this morning via email. Meaning we would need to approve a bid packet by June 7th. I would ask that we follow the timeline that Jim set out and be able to send the packets out for your approval on June 7th, and then we could send them out on June 8th. Looking at projects, our opening date to be July 6th, start projects August 2nd. They must be completed by September 17th.
No, I'm all in favor with that. The reason being is we don't want to get into trying to pave roads in November. We've been down that road before and it's not a good combination. So the sooner the better. So yeah, I'd recommend that we go ahead with that.
Secondly, Commissioners, and I know it's probably a tough thing to do right now, but we need to start thinking about the 2022 community crossing roads and any in-house projects. I have a deadline of July 6th to have estimates in for all of my projects next year. So I am going to need for you guys to rather quickly get with me on the projects that you would like to see done, whether you want to do that in work session or we want to meet individually. I've got some data we can put together in regard to road counts, complaints, insurance claims.
Greg, I want to make the recommendation that we do this individually.
Yeah.
Everyone come out and see you to deal with their district. We don't have to call a special meeting.
Okay.
We're already in enough meetings the way it is. If you guys are all right with that, you can go out and discuss your district and projects you're interested in. Always using Greg's recommendation, of course, he deals with this stuff every day, but that's how I'd like to proceed with it if everybody else is good.
I'm good with it, Gary.
I would ask that we do that within the next 2 weeks.
Okay. No, I
Even if we
wanna
need
get
make
this
time for
information.
something to pick up and we go for a drive, gentlemen, I'd like to get that done.
Yeah, you might want to schedule a half a day because it'll take that or more probably by the time we get through it all.
Reporting on Steubenville Road as one of our community crossing roads, vendors completed Bridge 130H rehab on Friday. I went out and inspected it, it's a good job, there's some dirt work left to be done, we expect that to be done by Wednesday, and the road will be open.
Greg, real quick, while we're all here and we just got this approved, can you give us the grant roads? These gentlemen here, since it was last year's agreement, they may not know what's being done in their district.
In Commissioner Burton's district would be Cole Ross Road in its entirety. In Commissioner, let's see, Curry's district, it would be Walden Road in its entirety. And in Commissioner DuBois Road, it is Steubenville Road from Denmark Road to Arnie. Now, Commissioners, that's one thing I would like to discuss with you, and I discussed it a little with Jim. We have some roads that we have approved to do in-house. Because we're watching monies and budgets, I think that it might do us to forego one of the roads that we have agreed to do in-house, and I know that isn't popular. But Steubenville is a extremely poor road. After its pavement, I would call it the worst road in the county. One of the in-house roads is the next, and that's the Sadia. That area has been ignored for years. I cannot pave a road in-house for what the contractors can do these roads for. In order to share the monies in each commissioner's district, we weren't able to do Steubenville in its entirety. I would ask that the commissioners allow us to put a bid pack together for 1.3 miles of road from Denmark Road to State Road 246 on Steubenville. Now, I've spoken with Jim, if it's too much money, we can refuse all bids and just decide not to do it. If it comes in within budget, I would ask that we do that. This opportunity may not come up again for this cheap a price.
No, I don't have a problem with that either. That way that road is totally done. We've talked about this before, stopping and starting in different locations. Definitely want to take a look at that. Obviously, a couple of years ago, we were kind of on the other side of this. It was cheaper for us to do in-house than it was outside. They dropped their prices considerably, which has helped us a lot. And I think that's because as a highway department, we have put these people in a competitive situation, and it's helping us greatly. One thing that we will continue to do, of course, is our millings projects. Yeah, Greg, I have no problem with that. Dale, I think that's in your district out there, so I'm sure you'll be happy to go along with that as well. But I see no reason that we don't go ahead and at least take a look at it and what's the cost.
And we'll just have to see if there's money, but
Sure.
we gotta put the bid out before we know.
And again, like I said, we don't have to accept anything, but we've got to put it on paper before we know.
Can I ask?
Hang on just a second, Greg. Nicole.
Steubenville Road was from where to where?
Denmark to 246.
Thank you, sorry.
Go ahead.
In housekeeping, gentlemen, I have a credit application contract, and basically it's an account update for us to do business with Rogers Group. I normally have filled these out, but, and then brought them to the commissioners for signature. I have the Rogers Group update, if the commissioners feel so. They are one of our accepted yearly bids, and it's something I get from them
Sure.
every year.
Jim, have you looked at that at all?
I have not, but it's just an update of the credit.
Okay, I just want to make sure that you didn't want to look at it first. Greg, while we're taking a quick break here, is it possible to get on the site, the highway site, and let people know that's gonna get these millings roads, which I think Locust Lake is one of them, Childers is whatever we're gonna do, and let everyone know that we bring that plug mill in and we do all those roads at one time, because I'm getting a lot of calls, how come we're not out there already, so on and so forth. They don't understand the process. We bring that plan in, we do it all. So if you could get that out to the public, I'd appreciate it, and I'm sure these guys probably will as
I
well.
can do that.
It's just one less phone call I gotta to fill.
Greg, do you have a copy of the tax exempt, or do you get that from the auditor? That's one of the
I'll
main
get
things.
that from the auditor.
Yeah, that's one of the key things that they want with this application, it's just verifying basically date, time, information. But the key thing is to make sure that we have the tax exempt, certification to go with this.
That's probably there every year, isn't it, yeah, Greg?
It is, we do this, I've got another one in my hand for Co-Alliance too, but, I was just going to, forward it to.
Do I hear a motion for approval to sign this application?
Make approval, we sign that application for the highway department for the credit for Rogers Group.
I have a motion by Bob. Second by Dale. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Go ahead, Greg.
Okay, lastly, gentlemen, I'm just throwing this out here to see if something else sticks besides my budget. But, the repair on the walking bridge, by the time I got everything done, I've got $1,850 in the walking bridge. Is there anywhere else besides my budget that could come from?
Pardon me?
The walking bridge at Gospel.
Yeah.
Is there anywhere else that money could come from besides my budget?
I really don't know that.
I have to do some research on that, Greg. Can you give us until the next meeting to make
I
that
can,
decision?
it's not a problem, and I can take it out of something, I just wanna know if something else was out there.
It's $1,800.
Yes.
You got the two boards, proper boards, or?
Yes, we had to do that, we made the repair on the far end of it too.
Is that part of the inspection price as well?
No, I think we got that worked out for nothing.
Okay.
Is there any, type of grants available for historical structures like that bridge?
There are, and,
It's asking for social security number, what is their tax number?
when we were out there and spoke, there are some place grants out there available for different repairs, and or, different projects, maybe not repairs. Also have spoken with, E3 Brit, not E3, CLR. They did the original rehab on the bridge. We were able to get a lot of information from them. Even the person that did the original, the engineer that did the original inspection on the walking bridge.
That was from the plaque that was on there. Yeah,
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll look at that and see what we can do with those funds. I don't know if QMCAP could be used for something like that. I don't know. I have to research on it.
Milestone will be here on Friday, to crush the millings. The pug mill will be here the first day of May.
May or June, because today's the
I mean,
13th.
first day of June.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Just want to make sure.
It's all right.
So if you can get that information out, that'd be great.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
We are, and just to try to keep everybody, informed, I'm down 2 employees right now. And they are laborers, so that is slowed. Hole patching down.
Well, you're in your peak season and we need to get those filled as soon as possible. I know we're talking about a possible freeze. I feel that your department falls in line with the sheriff and the EMS, 911. It's essential. Our taxpayers expect us to have these holes patched, these roads in good condition, so do whatever you can.
Problem with it is, gentlemen, I can't get anybody to apply. And it's not bad money, but nobody wants to come to work.
Well, it's easier to sit at home and draw unemployment.
So I've got one applicant, and I've never been in that situation since I've been at that garage, ever.
That's a shame.
That's all I have.
All right, well, we'll see if we can help you with some employees.
Well, Jim and I assume we're still meeting afterwards,
Yeah.
Jim. I have a situation, and that I spoke to Jim about, that I believe the commissioners may need to convene under the drainage board. Jim and I are gonna look at it this afternoon, but I want you to be aware, there's just been a lot of drainage work done on the county line, South County Line Road area out on Flatwoods, by farmers. In one place, the water's now going over the road where a ditch has been made. And of course now, I was contacted, didn't know the problem existed until I went out there to look where the water had blown over the road. But water has been diverted, now it's gotta go downstream onto other folks, besides the problem that I have. So Jim and I are gonna take a look at it today, but it may be something for the drainage board, I just want you to be aware.
Dale, that falls on you. You're president of
The what?
the drainage board. You're over that, so you might want, after they make their assessment, you might want to get with Greg and go out there and take a look at it. So you're not caught off guard.
I'll give you a call this afternoon, Dale.
The what?
I'll give you a call this afternoon after we go look.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Susan, Building Department, copy fees.
I don't have my copy with me, but, he does, so.
I did not get a copy of that ordinance in my pack, or I didn't see it. If I did, I overlooked it.
Okay, so I've got a copy.
You got a copy of it?
So the good news, this is a short ordinance as one. So this will be ordinance number 2021-10. What the essence of this ordinance is simply that the building department has requested for maps, aerial color, and there's never been really an established fee schedule. Went through there by law, and we do have it, so this will be a quick reading. This is ordinance number 2021-010. An ordinance establishing permitted charges for providing copies of plat or line maps by the Owen County Building and GIS Department. Whereas the Owen County Building and GIS Department receives requests for copies of plat line maps, and whereas Indiana Code 5-14-3-8C establishes permitted charges for copying fees. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Commissioners of the Owen County for the following. Section 1, cost schedule. Pursuant to Indiana Code 5-14-3-8C, the fee for copying one page may not exceed 10 cents, and an agency may establish and collect a reasonable fee for copying of non-standard sized documents. B, the Owen County Building and GIS Department that receives a request for a copy or a plat or line map shall not charge more than the following. The size, 8.5 by 11, that would be free. Aerial color would be 25 cents. 11 by 17, $1 for a plat or line map, $10 for aerial or color. 18 by 24, $5 by plat or line map, $15 aerial or color. 24 by 36, $10 plat or line map, $30 aerial color, that's with 20-pound paper. 24 by 36, plat or line map, $15, $35 for aerial color, 36-pound paper. Anyone that needs a custom large format, that price will be determined prior to the format request. C, these fees will be collected by the Building and GS Department for copying maps, and they shall be deposited into fund, and from the auditor's office, we'll just need the fund that needs to be deposited into. This ordinance shall be in full force and effect from and after its passage and approval and recording for the publication as provided by law. If so, it will be passed and adopted by the Board of Commissioners of Owen County, State of Indiana, in a regular meeting held on the 3rd day of May, 2021. Board of Commissioners is Gary Byrne, President, Robert Curry, Vice President, Dale Du Bois, Commissioner, and attested by Sheila Reeves, Auditor. Do you need a copy of?
I've found, Nicole gave me a copy here, so I've got one. And Nicole just brought something up to me. In the past, it looked like on the 8.5 by 11, we were charging $2 for aerial color. We got it down for 25 cents.
That's by statute.
Okay.
The reason is that it's 10 cents is maximum and 25 cents is maximum by the 8.5 by 11. That's by the statute for the.
So we were breaking the law there.
It's just amazing considering how much color
Sure, oh, absolutely.
is,
Yeah.
but, okay. I mean, as long as that statute, whatever.
So the state's got a spin on this one.
Exactly.
Per color, with just how much we pay for color to the printer,
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
Well, first of all, I appreciate you bringing this up and making these changes. And by the way, before we move forward, you've done a great job down there. Our revenues are still up. Currently, off topic here, but the building department's got a cash balance of about $29,000. And that's outstanding. This was the department that we constantly had to appropriate money at the end of the year to bring it back up to snuff. It's not happened last year, and it definitely will not happen this year. So again, thank you for everything you're doing there. So gentlemen, do I hear a motion to approve ordinance number 2021-10 for charging for providing copies of plat and line maps from the Owen County Building Department?
I make a motion we adopt 2021-10.
Yeah, I'll second that.
I have a motion by Bob, a second by Dale. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Dale, if you want, just leave this down there at the end of the counter. These documents that are coming, just leave them down there. She'll pick them up. Is there anything else you have, Susan? All right, thank you very much. You have a good day. Next up, Diane, treasurer, insufficient check claim.
We have a taxpayer that has not paid back their NSF check to us. And State Board of Accounts does not allow us to void payments. So what happens is the county pays the money, and then at settlement time, the first check that is cut is back to the county for this amount. And that makes it so that the books are whole when we go into settlement. Because right now it sets in an NSF file on our cash book.
And the bank's already been contacted and so on and so
Yeah,
forth.
it's already out of the bank.
Yep, you've got everything on here, as well as a $23 fee. Outstanding. Looks like you've got it taken care of. And I understand you had something else this morning besides this? No?
Now count.
She got puzzled
Oh,
with
the
that.
now count. Yes, we saw that,
Jim, you wanna listen to this here?
the financial, on the 30th, the last day of the month, all the now count was not part of the numbers that you sent out to everybody.
Some interest needs to be
It was
applied.
a pending quietus that was
Oh.
finalized this morning.
Oh, okay.
So there is, that number will change. I think it was $525.70 more in receipts than what you
I
have.
think so. I forgot to bring that report up. I'm sorry.
Wasn't a major amount, just a change in
Right,
those
and
totals. so.
everything was finalized this morning.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Thanks.
Diane, you did present. Never mind. I found it.
Yeah, we
Never
got
mind.
4 copies, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Donna, I'm assuming you're here for Judge Quillen. So if you want to come up, we'll get you taken care of.
She just had a question. We got the ordinance that for the credit cards and not to use online accounts. The judge in our office have a Staples account, so we are no longer able to use that. Is that?
You can use the account, but it has to be paid for with a county credit card, not an online charge account. You'll have to.
Good. Keep clarifying that because we have questions with that too.
And the other part is, and I'm gonna help you out maybe here, jump ahead, the Amazon Prime online accounts. Actually got an email from Amazon with concerns that we have 12, 13 individual Amazon online charge accounts in this county.
Okay.
That's a concern when Amazon is concerned about it. So that was part of this discussion, is to eliminate those accounts. You can still buy off Amazon. Call the auditor's office, credit card. Just,
Okay, this is great discussion because we're like,
we've done that with Amazon, we don't have our own account, we've always got
Right,
in there.
right.
Because Staples, then we need the credit card to put down on there, because we just have an account, we don't have it attached to any kind of credit card.
If you wanna order from Staples, call down and get a credit card number or sign out the card from Nicole. You can
Okay.
order it yourself.
Okay,
Okay, okay, cause,
Is that clarification?
Because
Jim, am I
they-
speaking right here, correct?
okay, rather than, because they did have it set up where they billed us and they sent us a bill. So to ease up on the credit card spending, that's why there was an account set up, but it would still be, the department still had to come in and check out a Staples card, with our account number and all of that, and they would sign that out and then take that and bring it back. And then Staples would send us a bill later. So, and that would cut down on the use of a Visa card, credit card spending by them having to bill us.
If that's a county account, and I'm sure other offices are using it, and I'm talking Staples here,
Right,
that's an exception to the rule because if they charge a county, it's not actually an account that we're using a credit card for, or we're getting perks and bonuses and all that. If I'm wrong here, Jim, say so, but that's no different than us having an account at Owen County Hardware Store, Spencer Hardware.
right.
No different.
right.
Bedford, when they come in,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not
Correct.
online.
Those I don't
still
have a problem
account,
with.
but- Okay,
Anything that you're gonna need a credit card for now has to go through the auditor's office.
Right.
I prefer that the department takes care of that themselves because we have turned this place into a shipping and receiving department down there. It looks like a shipyard coming in down there with UPS and the Federal Express and the Amazon. We need, and from what Sheila's told me, we basically have one person doing nothing but ordering Amazon stuff all day long. That's unbelievable to me.
right.
But it-
And then-
There's
and
no
then
way
when-
we need to buy that much stuff.
Right, and then when we did use Amazon, it had to go to there because we
Exactly.
did whatever. So the
Exactly.
Staples is just the account, it's not with the credit card, but
Correct.
it does come to our office, so they're not involved
No,
until we turn in the claim. we turn in-
Right, that would be
Right.
your same process if it's an actual charge account, yes.
Okay, so
But the
that's
Amazon
the same.
Prime stuff, online charge accounts, they're going away. You're gonna
Okay,
have to
so-
use a credit card.
Okay, we didn't have that, okay, so what we have is still good.
Right,
Okay.
so,
Does that help?
and thank you for the clarification, because I think notice went out from our office where we misinterpreted what you were wanting to do in stating, okay, you can no longer order from Amazon altogether.
No,
Okay,
she,
So-
and again, when I got the email, she was very concerned. They have a state pricing, they have a government pricing, Amazon does. I need to get with Sheila to make sure that that's where we're at, and I hope that we are. I'm gonna guess maybe not. I don't know who set it up. If we're setting a home and we're doing this stuff, we're just setting up an account. I hope whoever originally set this account up said, hey, this is a government agency, we're getting a different buying price.
I
So
don't
we
know
need to find
about
that out.
buying price, but I do know that they're tax exempt.
Okay.
So I do know that that's in place, but as far as buying price, yeah, I don't.
Well, I have that on my list. I have the gal's name and number. I'm gonna call her. But again, my list is about that long, so I'll get to it. But, yeah, hopefully that clarifies everything with everyone and any other department heads out there. But all of those, accounts are gonna be shut down, except for the one for the county. I'm
do.
talking Amazon here.
Right, okay. Yeah.
To address Walmart, how, and that's such a taboo.
I don't necessarily think that we need an in-house Walmart card because they take a credit card. All we're doing is loading up another card if we have another card. We can control these purchases by saying, here's $2,500, and if that card is full that month, or we haven't made those claims paid, you're just gonna have to wait till the next month. I don't think that there's anything dire emergency at Walmart that we have to have that day. That's my opinion, but
How would you handle claims, say if that credit card is used for the month and is not available, or the card is just not available because another department has it, and a department wants to go ahead and say, and Donna, I'm gonna use you as an example. Say Donna runs to Walmart because she's like, no, we are out of this, we're having a meeting, whatever. We absolutely need to have this. She runs down to our local Walmart, she pays herself and then submits a claim. How will you handle that?
Well,
that we're
we handle it-
reimbursing her.
Sure, and we've
Is that
done
a
meaning
problem?
I don't think it's gonna be a problem, because at that point, it's not put on a card, it'll just come back out of her budget line.
Okay.
And we'll pay do an out-of-claim cycle. I don't see a problem with that either.
And I don't know at Walmart, if we went to Walmart with this scenario, if we take a tax exempt thing, because we've done that
Exactly.
before, and we've had to eat the sales tax then. Like, we needed something and we bought it and we just.
I've done the same thing, I've been to
Right.
Lowe's, used my own personal stuff, yeah.
Right, right,
So, every department head should have a copy of the county's tax exempt with them.
okay. And.
Commissioners as well, council, whatever.
And we can probably go to the front desk at the places and try to, here's a tax exempt, because we won't have a
Yeah.
Walmart card anymore.
No, because part of that Walmart card did include the tax exempt status in it. And it's 2 cards, right? Sorry, I don't check out the cards all that often, so thank God.
All you have to do when you go through checkout is just say, this is for Owen County government, we're tax exempt. They can call over to the service desk to verify that we have a number on file.
Yeah, they should be able to do that even though we don't have the card.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Every place that we do business with should have our tax exempt on file.
Okay.
And then those departments that don't have a current tax exempt, we can email one to you so that you have them on file and you can make a copy of those for,
That would be nice.
When you
just
can
for
take
everybody to
it.
Have a fresh copy, because ours is kind of old and getting kind of,
yeah,
after.
I don't see why that would be a problem.
Andy, since you're sitting out here, do you have any input on this conversation? I mean, I know it's our decision on what to do with these cards and how to handle them, but trying to control things to where our spending is
I
reduced.
understand, you know, I hate that, you know, everybody, you know, the measures have to happen, but, we'll try to get to a better place.
I think this will help us. And does that help you now?
Yeah, because our problem is our Walmart business supplies is not very good.
Correct.
And so how are we going to get what we needed was our.
You can still go to Sam's Club, you can still go to Walmart, and just check that card out, or call and get the number, however that process is that you guys wanna work out.
Okay,
Again, we're gonna try to keep this card from being maxed out,
Right.
as we've had in the past.
Right.
We had 5 credit cards that were maxed out all the time and we couldn't use them.
Right.
All we're doing is, I mean, the instant we paid off a $10 bill, we've charged 20.
right,
So those things have got to stop,
Right.
and I think that we're heading there.
yeah, and that's good. I have one more thing.
Sure.
The internet went down over there again this morning.
Well, Jim's right here to give us an update. As you know, we've had a battery issue in the IT room. He's got it ordered, and I'll shut up and let him talk.
Problem, that battery was not the internet problem, the, internet problem we're addressing, we've got a, call into Smithville to see about running a new line. It's not where people thought it was, it's not right in front of your office, it's on the far corner of the street, so we're getting a price, I should have had it by actually last Thursday, so I will call them again today. The cost to get you on, a fiber line from the far corner to right in front of the health department. I'm assuming it's gonna be fairly expensive, because nothing Smithville does is cheap.
Right. Well, and just so everybody knows, the internet probably goes down like 3 or 4 times a day, but only for about 3 or 4 minutes. But if you're in anything and you've lost it, you've lost everything. And you gotta kind of go back in and do everything. So like if you're on a Zoom meeting or hearing, or you just lost it, yeah.
Totally understand, and so everybody in here knows that the offices across the street are not hardwired for internet. We're bouncing a repeater or Wi-Fi off the courthouse over there. The equipment was quite old. They found a lot of water in some of it. They fixed some of it. We're still having some issues. Obviously, it's gonna cost some money to get service down there. I think that we need to do that. We may need to look inside your own budgets to help pay for that. I cut IT as thin as I possibly could this year. So I can tell you on an IT standpoint, it's not gonna be there to make that kind of payment.
Right, because I know it's Jack, the health department, and us, that's all of that.
Right, and all offices are important, so we need to get it taken care of. So, and unfortunately, Smithville, and hopefully nobody here works for Smithville, has not been very good at getting back with us, working with us. They'll contact them. I get a call 3 weeks to a month later. By that time, I'm lost about what they're talking about because that much time's went by. So they've not been very customer friendly. So, hopefully that'll get better moving forward.
And are we gonna get the Crow report today? Or have we even?
The only report that I have is the same one that everybody else got, it's the 43-page report. I don't know what other report.
There's no big report
The
on it.
598 page is the general ledger, that's from, and that was from January 1st to April 22nd. I would assume it would exceed 600 pages or so now. So that report is an internal report for Owen County. The
Okay.
Crow report is approximately 43 pages, and there, as my understanding, there's no changes from what the draft that was presented out. So, and it's been adopted by the commissioners now, so it's public for anyone. So, yeah, that's the report right there. Yes.
There is no more from Crow, that's it.
Okay, that's it, like the.
Everything else is
598 pages
internal.
Just all the.
Everything you're gonna get now is gonna be internal reports, like reviewing. So again, if someone says, well, what, I heard there's a 600-page report out there. That is correct, but that's internal public record that's always available for the general ledger.
Okay, and do we know when the next, because I know we're almost at half a year and there's still stuff that we gotta do. Is there, like, have you guys set a meeting then?
I think they're gonna discuss that at their upcoming council meeting. And I don't mean to speak for Andy, but I think that that's possibly their plan.
So Monday night, at our council meeting, that'll be a discussion point, and then I look for a series of, probably special meetings, throughout the summer with the Board of Commissioners in order to, take, the proper measures in getting spending under control.
Yeah, following up with Andy there, I think that we're probably gonna be in a situation where, I mean, obviously the budget is a council problem and issue. But if we all sit together with our department heads, it may take an hour for each department, we all come together, and work that out. I think we can get through this. Everybody takes, like I said, it may be an hour, maybe 2 hours, depending on the department. But I think that's probably the avenue we're looking at, don't you, Andy?
Yeah, ultimately, you guys are submitting your budgets to the commissioners and the commissioners' budget to us. So, what I don't want to do is, clearly, before the council takes it upon themselves to mandate something to individual departments, we want you to look at what you've got and to work with the commissioners in submitting, what looks right to you guys and what you can afford, and, before it gets to the budget hearing step. So, it is something that you guys need to work through with them, and then, we'll work through it again at budget time if need be. And, I think Jim is going to, look at some metrics on it, and I think he's working on some policy for the submission. I saw this week, some stuff, and I think somebody asked me earlier this week, well, what about the dates and such? I think, in July, you guys have normally set your date for stuff to be to you. I don't know if we want to, if you guys want to move that up, so we've got some time, more time before budget hearings to maybe work together, on some stuff, and I'll leave that up to you guys, and I hope what I'm saying is making a little bit of sense.
Well, I think we got a two-step process here. We've got to meet with department heads to reduce our current budget year. That's been established. We're gonna have to reduce our current budget by roughly 20%. So we're gonna have meetings to get that done in a short period of time, and then we're gonna have to get back together for everyone to present their budgets to the commissioner so that we can forward those on to the council. So we got two sets of meetings coming up here with basically every department.
Right.
And
if we go out, the 20% is only on a little bit of budget because you've already spent it.
Exactly. Yeah, we can't go back. It's talking about reducing what we have available today. And I know it was discussion last year, and it's something that as long as I'm up here, it won't happen. The department heads are always gonna come to budget hearings. The commissioners are not gonna sit there for you because I don't know your department. Don't need to know your department. I just need to know the money side of things to help do our job. So, I know in the past I was concerned these department heads weren't gonna show up to budget hearings. That will not happen, Andy. Everybody will be there just like always. But hopefully we can eliminate some confusion before we get there.
Yeah, and for us, I will tell you, the goal is to get the budget on track, you know, and that 20% reduction, and then reduce, the deficit. Those two things are, you know, what we're going to be, focused on. And there's other little things in there that some of it, you know, falls on different folks that, you know, to help prevent anything like that from happening, internal controls, those types of things that are going to have to be done. But, you know, I think we've got to get the budget down, for this year so we can by the end of December 31st, we're
Anything else, Don? Okay. Thank you very much. Hopefully we got your questions answered for you. Don't normally do this, Baron, but since you're here, we're gonna let you speak a little bit. We normally do those in the evening meetings, but,
Well, what I've got here is, I was gonna wait till the 17th, I may bring this back up on the 17th too. What I did was I talked to a bunch of people over the last few weeks, and I'm trying to get sort of like I'm talking about, you know, I come out of Jackson Township up north, okay? And the people up there are a little different, but I talked to a lot of different people, and everybody's got different opinions, and it seems like there's been a lot of finger pointing, you know, wanting to blame people in the past, you know, stuff like that. So you know where I'm coming from. But the deal about it is, I had consensus of what they need to do to take care of the budget and to take care of the needs of the people at the same time, which is pretty hard to do, by the way. So what I'll do is I'll pass this out now to those that are present. And will you help me? Pass some of these out. Make sure that you guys get a copy. And what it is, it's a list of what I call, rather than I don't know what you want to call it. It's like it's not a suggestion anymore. They feel like over all these years, at least the last 20 years that I've been here, you know, with the various council members and the various county commissioners, over 20 years now, that they all had different perspectives and different outlooks and different needs and whatever that they were trying to do. And so I came up with a 10-point plan that I thought might be useful and to try to get things back under control. And
Baron, could I ask you how many people were surveyed in this information you're
I
talking?
only talked to a couple of dozen.
Okay.
A total, and it's over a period of several weeks. Okay. Mostly over a coffee or a donut somewhere. But the thing about it is that they feel like the things have gone for so long over the last, 20 years or so, that people do a lot of talking. Remember, they have all kinds of meetings, and stuff, and the county council talks about this, and the commissioners talk about that. The thing about it is, it's a long-term run deal. It just didn't happen last week. And so what they're saying here is that we need to take these kind of steps to throw the authority, as well as the blame, back on the county commissioner, not talking about the ones in the past and the new ones we've got today. But the thing about it is, these are the things that these people think that are the only way, even though it's radical, they think it's the only way that you can just stop and not do any more. And if the most important departments that the people think, because some of the people I talk to, especially myself, they say, well, the auditor's department's really important, but I don't get a lot out of it every day. The clerk's department's really important, but I personally don't get anything out of it every day. Other people say, well, the court system's really important, but I don't seem to get anything out of it every day. I don't see anything happens every day. And so when they talked about furloughing 30 employees for all these different departments, the emergency medical services, people think they've got to because they have heart attacks and situated. The highway department, they got to travel back when they need something repaired. And they thought the sheriff's department was good because it takes care of the criminal element and the ones that are disturbing the peace. So these things here, they thought should be left alone. But all the other things doesn't affect them on a day-to-day basis. Now, I know that it does, and I try to point this out. But the deal about it, they don't see it. They can see these three. So that's the reason why they said, these are the things that we demand that the commissioners do now to stop all this hemorrhaging that's been going on for 20-some years. Now, I know we've had bad employees, I've been here, I've seen it all myself, but that's not the point. The point is now, I'm not worried about the past, that's over. But what can we do right now? These are what the people are telling me that they want to do. I'm done.
And we appreciate that, we do.
Okay.
And I want to make one quick comment about internal controls. And Jim, if you would, there was a ordinance approved for internal controls in 2019, has not been enforced. We have done all kinds of different things, but it takes the other elected officials and department heads to do their part. We can sit up here and make ordinances all day long. If they're not enforced, we're wasting our time.
You got a lawyer and you got a court system.
Jim, you want to touch base on that real quick?
So, like this, and I think it was roughly 2019, there was an internal ordinance, internal controls ordinance passed, and it adopted the State Board of Accounts. So that's just factual, there's nothing more. What I would say, and this is opinion, so now this falls pretty opinion-wise. In the past 30 days, in the past 60 days, in that area, I personally observed a very keen interest, a very keen action towards entering in internal controls, double checking, looking at accounts, looking at appropriations, looking at budget procedures. I can say that, even though it would be hearsay, but Tim Berry, when he did his report, said that he received nothing but total cooperation from everyone, every department, everyone that he looked at, every bit of information. So I would say that they're, again, opinion-wise, very optimistic that this area of internal controls, looking at budgets, people looking at the understanding of just the fiscal language, what's a transfer, what's an appropriation, what's an expenditure, what's red, what's black as far as the budget. I've absolutely seen interest and following in here. The departments that I've worked with, it's not been all of them, but none have said no, but the ones that I've directly worked with on the budget, that they've met, they've looked, they said, okay, well, I understand this is what we're going to do. So I think that the short answer that I will always say is, this is a solvable problem, and everything that I have found has been a complete interest in what do I need to do, what do I need to help, what needs to be done. And I think that's consistent with some of the things that Mr. Barrett just has put into proposition. I think there's activity, and I think there's actual accomplishment in these areas right now. And just one thing to talk about, if you would even look here, yes, in April, Owen County spent more than we seeded in. However, there was a lot of interest and a lot of looking. It was the least amount in the first 4 months. So yes, it is over, but it's the least. It's going in it. So if you're graphing this, or you're marking this is a right direction as far as getting some control over this spending. I'll give one example. In talking, there was one from about 1173, but that's a highway fund. And they looked at it and said, you know what we do? We're going to take a look. We're not going to put any more claims in May in this fund. We're going to get this adjusted. And I hope Ray doesn't mind that, because I'm saying that's just an example that comes out that I'm seeing everywhere. Let's take a good look at this. Passed out budget, what President of the Council had just said. Can we get this done earlier? Can we look at these dates? I'm getting the same type of feedback. I'm going to get this done quicker. I'm going to have this done ready. So I would say, yes, it's a problem. There's no question about that. So let's not downplay that. But every indicator, at least looking at starting in April and what's going on in May, is addressing this issue to get it under control.
And your concepts on the budget.
You can, Sam. Yep.
Concur. Speaking of Andy and stuff, and Gary, both presidents, I want the public to understand something. The internal controls that Jim's talking about was placed in like 2019. I'm just speaking for the sheriff's office. We watch what we spend. We have to, and we check what we got, and 3 different people check that. because we have a budget. You can't outspend outside your budget. That's for sure. In the last 2 weeks, Cherie and Sean just took it upon themselves because of what didn't happen, appropriations and Congress and stuff like that. Guess what, folks? I ate all that out of my budget this year. I ate every bit of it. So we had to take the last 2 weeks because we're not getting that money back. We don't, as of yet, we might, but as of right now. So we took that and took the line items that was in the red and got them all in the black because we had to transfer out of funds to pay for it. So that's one thing that internal controls is doing for just my department. But then again, and I appreciate Andy, speaking with him, for the rest of the year, we're trying to cut back another 20%. Add that to what we just already paid out of this year's budget because of last year, it digs into your services. It's a hard pill to swallow. It's like they both said, we're gonna get through this and it's gonna be tough, but we're gonna get through it. But I know the internal control part works well at the sheriff's office because it's not just one person writing out the claims and saying, hey, we just do this. If you got a budget of $100, you spend $101, you're gonna have to move some money. And you need to move the money before you spend $101. So I do think the internal control is working fairly well in some of the departments. I don't know about all of them, but it does work if you monitor it. You gotta watch your budget.
And touching on that for you folks back there, Ernie and Barron, we passed an ordinance in January of this year that the commissioners and the president of the commissioners and the president of the council now have access, as well as the members of these boards and the members of the council have access to our financials. We were kept out of that in the past. Shame on that ever happening. For us to have to make an ordinance to get administrative passwords to get that control is now in effect. So there's part of your internal controls. So those directions are going in that area, but the council never had full-blown access to the LAO system, and now they have that available. I know of 2 of them that has got that set up on their computers now. The rest of them, they've all had the same opportunity, the same as we had. So that is happening. And I know that Andy's got his set up. I know that Anton has his set up. So they can look and they can check. And that's a big part of internal controls. So just wanted to give you an update on that. And again, that happened back in January, was not happening previous. So, okay. Moving on, Paycor payroll process system. There seems to be, of course, I was gone last week, some problems between Paycor and LAO. We are going to move forward with a payroll company of some sort, or we're going to move forward with a different financial company, software company, which is where I think that the biggest part of it needs to be leaned at. LAO has done us no favors. They charge us $101,000 a year in maintenance fees, which is out of control. We can get it much cheaper. Going back to Paycor, they have 32 offices in the United States, coast to coast. So I have a hard time seeing that this is a Paycor problem. If it was, they wouldn't be in business. Nicole obviously doesn't agree with me, she's smiling here, but we got to do something. And the budget process with the LAO system is not working. Jim and I have talked about this. Andy and I will need to talk about this. But we're going to do something with the payroll company somewhere, somehow. So we are going to move forward with this. I've got phone calls going out this week to both Andy Lau and Josh Morley from Paycor. And once I have a conversation with them, we'll have more information. Okay. Monthly financial report, Jim.
Sure. Council and Commissioners, was requested beginning of this year to take a look at the financial and fund ledger report. And I've done that from January for the 4 months. So just some general observations. The balance on January 1st was approximately $7.2 million. That's how much the county had in its balance. Each month from January, February, March, and April, as indicated, the amount of receipts that have come in have not matched the amount that was expended out. Now, that is not unusual in any type of county government, because there's the two big settlements. There's a settlement in the spring, generally the end of May or in June, and then December, January, where the money comes in, then obviously that money is expected to carry over. The difficulty, and what's already been presented in the Crow report and other reports, is that it's going into the cash reserve. So a couple things, just commissioners, just kind of keep in mind. Looking ahead, the general fund is in the red. There's 15 total funds that are in the red. Some by just a matter of cents, which would just be a bookkeeping, up to over $1 million in the general fund. Right now, as of 4:30, now again, it sounds like there was a different quiet that came in, so this could be off, let's just say it's off, 1,000 or so. There's roughly $5.5 million in the amounts for Owen County. So looking ahead, probably for the county council, county commissioners, and for your clients, there's two different areas of concern. One is 2021. Looking at what cost savings, cost measures can be taken, of course, in 2021. And then two, simultaneously looking at the 2022 budget. So I did send out this past weekend, I think it was on Friday. The commissioners, you are required to do an executive summary. It's an estimate for the county council. There's 14 separate items on there. You need to get information from a number of departments. I believe it was auditor, treasurer, assessor, myself, highway department. That would be in general. What I want to be clear about that is not in any way, it is not in any way saying that the commissioners are, one, presenting that budget. That is not happening, nor is it saying that commissioners, you are now approving what their budget is. That's a county council. This is getting information that the county council absolutely needs to know. They need to know, what's the total payroll for the county? What are our bonds, interest, loans? All of those things in a summary form would give them, going into their budget, a good projection, of cost. And this is statutory required. So that's one of the things to take a look at. Number two, as far as financial, is taking a hard look at the claims process for each department head coming in there. So I'm just gonna pick the one that doesn't exist, but I always use. Say we had a blacksmith department. They wanna come in there and they need they've got a claim for $500 for equipment. The first thing they need to do is check in their own budget. One, is there a line item, is there appropriation? Do they have that? If they don't, that means you don't spend it. You have to then get with the auditor's office and talk about the possibility of transfer, appropriation, what mechanism would come in. But the bottom line is really simply this. Before the money has been spent, or okay to be spent, it needs to be appropriated by the county council. It needs to be where it said, you have permission to spend that. An appropriation, respectfully, is not a suggestion. It's not, well, we'd like you to do this. This is what you have. So for all the departments looking in there, this would be a really good time to take the proverbial hard look at the budget. What is my appropriation? Are these accounts correct? You may even find the possibility, like, I don't even know what this account is. This would be the time, to take a look at that. The claims go to the auditor. The auditor's office, then by statute, is required the double check, that comes in here. Hey, wait a minute, the blacksmith just submitted $700 for equipment. They only have $500 appropriation. Whoa, this is the proverbial timeout, going back to there. When it comes to you, commissioners, the claims that are certified that they're correct, you also have the total, one, duty, and two, the option of looking and reviewing each one of those claims, doing your own audit. You have the ability to audit. But when you're voting for the claims, you are certifying that the money is there. So, in speaking of the internal controls, that's one thing, and maybe we're doing 99% of that. Maybe we're doing 100, but in that case, it's great. In the chance that maybe that's not 100% what's being done, this would be the time, for that to happen. In the past, maybe there's always been an executive summary already done. I'm not saying it's not, I'm just saying for 2022 budget, that really needs to be done, and it needs to be filled out and presented to you. I think that the same thing that I can tell with a couple of departments, they're going through each one of their budgets, they're looking at the projections. Now, I'm talking long, so I will quit, but wrap it. Some of your departments, in addition to having the budget, which has the numbers, they also have the cash ledger. So speaking, the best way, let's use a real life example of that, it's the highway department. The highway department has actual money coming in from different sources of revenue. Roughly, using general numbers, there's about $250,000 that comes into the highway department, plus or minus. That's split. 50% goes to 1173, 50% goes to 1176. In addition to Greg, the superintendent of the highway department, of doing the appropriation, he's got to balance his cash ledger too. So what I mean by that is, there may be an appropriation of $250,000 for a community crossing grant, the grant match. That does not necessarily mean that the highway department has $250,000 of actual cash in 1173, 76, or 1169. So that's a dual monitor that he has to do. Respectfully, the sheriff doesn't mind, like the sheriff has in one of the funds, it's the text about the jail. The appropriation, what the expected revenue in that from the tax increase is going to be about $840,000. The sheriff understands, and I'm not suggesting he's doing it, but that doesn't mean the sheriff then can take $840,000 and turn it into claim next week. He's never did that. Please understand only what I'm saying, not what I'm not saying. But I just mean, that's another fund, that's an example, you've got to look at the cash. Roughly about $80,000 is coming in there. So that's got to be balanced out by the cash along with the appropriation. So these are the type of works that we're looking at these funds. Some of your department heads have two jobs they've got to do. Follow their appropriation, but also be very cognizant of the revenue coming in, the revenue coming out to make them balance. For example, you have a fund, one of the funds right now, 1173 is in the red. But the total cash available to the highway department and their funds is over 500,000. So it's a double bookkeeping of following all these things. So I will say just quickly in summary, all this is being monitored. The county council clearly has to take a look at three different funds coming up, as far as some type of transfers, looking at some internal controls that are going on, making those decisions, and the department heads really need to monitor their appropriations, and those that have cash revenues, they've got to take a look at that. That's just kind of a summary of kind of where we're at by the end of April.
And one thing, and Jim plays totally accurate, the one thing that's hurting us right at the moment is we know the general fund is in the red. The general fund continues to get deeper in the red. Claims are being made. We have to continue to run business. And we can't stop paying out of our general fund and keep taking money over here at these other funds, because we're going to deplete those funds. We're not going to be able to run. So in the meantime, and I know the council's working on this, the general fund keeps getting redder, so to speak,
You're correct.
but we have to keep on running the business. So it's tough when we're trying to pull money, instead of taking it from the general fund, we're trying to pull money from other revenues. Eventually that kind of goes, that well goes dry.
Yeah, so, what Jim's saying is, we've got to take every step to reverse it, and then apply the revenue that we have come in settlement, not just June settlement, but December settlement, and between reversing that and applying the revenues we have, that's what's going to pull us out. Is that correct, Jim?
Yeah, I think that it's there, so. Everyone can kind of understand kind of the margin, if I may. 1173 can be totally corrected by June 1st. There's a $20 window of how close this would be. So that's what I mean for your department. So in addition to a superintendent that needs to do the roads, personnel policies, something like that, the managing of that budget, that's where we're at. And it can clearly be done. But there is a lot of hard work into it. Now, also looking ahead, like different revenue streams. The surveyor came in today and talked about a corner preparation fund. That's gonna be at 20 cents. The commissioners are talking about the possibility of looking at a different way of management. There's an automatic 20%. There are other funds out there that are similar, that other department heads can kind of take a look at, that could make a significant amount of difference. For example, in the jail fund, 20% of that fund can be used for the personnel issues. So there are answers to these avenues, there absolutely are. But the reason I bring up the $20, that's how close we have to be. This is how much work that is going to have to go into this to make this correct. But the trends are positive of what we saw in April. The focus is extremely positive by everyone that's involved in this, laser focus on what needs to be done. And the report, and you now have the empirical data really in front of everyone to say, okay, if the general fund is in red, this amount, which it's to the penny of how much it can be, what needs to be done on that transfer? Those are all the things that are happening right now. Sometime in May, maybe or at least no later than by June, the settlement for the amount of money coming in is going to be very helpful to see, and then we can take a projection there of the final 6 months. But there is a lot of optimism here, but it is going to take internal controls. I do repeat myself many times, so I'm going to repeat it one more time. The reason I use that $20 example, that's how much focus and detail that's required in this. You really have to be looking at dollars and cents, because there's not going to be a grand slam here. There's no one's going to come up here, hit a basis loaded grand slam and say this solving's over. This is going to be one single after another, one base hit, one hit batsman, one walk, just any different way to make progress on this problem. That in my opinion, purely my opinion, that's going to be solved. Not a single answer, but increments of everything making it add up.
Thank you for that, Jim. And I'll make one last comment on this topic. When Patty was here, now that Sheila's here, I personally asked for the IT budget every month at the end of the month. I asked for maintenance, I asked for courthouse. Nicole can verify that. I want that information. I want to know where we're at. I get these reports and there's not a thing appropriated in any of these lines. All I get, just like today, it shows on here that we spent money. We spent money for legal fees, I'm gonna say, and it shows a negative $13,000 because there was no appropriation. It should have been put in there so it tallies itself as it goes. So we do have some issues, and I understand from a department standpoint, they've gotta be confused because they think that they've got money, but it's not really there. But they're trying to spend money. So Nicole, am I right? Does that show a negative of those things being paid because they're basically because there was no appropriation applied to it, so it drops it down?
Yeah, this is appropriation, and excuse me, let me clarify. My knowledge of financials my personal knowledge is fairly limited. I know quite a bit, but there is some limitations because I'm a property management deputy. I calculate your property taxes, I do corrections, I distribute settlement. So there are many layers to the auditor's office, and anybody is more than welcome to come and talk to us because we're not just financials. So maybe what the public does see is a lot of financials. What they don't see is your property taxes and how assessments play into our office and how I calculate that. So, given that, my question back is, if you don't understand a report that you are provided, and I'm not pointing the finger at any one person, this is for all of the departments. If you're provided a report from any office as far as what is an expenditure, what is an appropriation, what your financial balance is, and you do not understand the report provided to you, you must contact the auditor's office. Don't just sit there and say, I don't know, and I give up. Because I can tell you a lot of departments, not every single one, but a lot of departments do not come into the auditor's office, do not meet with us. I can tell you that members of the commissioner and the council have never stepped a foot into the auditor's office to find out, not all of them, but a lot of them have not come in, sat down and talked to our office to find out, what do you do? How can we better serve you? As far as gaining access into LAO, the commissioners and the council have had access to LAO. They never used it. I have no explanation as to why they didn't use it, but they didn't. And this ordinance that was passed at the first of the year is more redundancy because they did have access to LAO before.
I'm gonna tell you that tell me where I had access or where I had any type of username and password. Tell me where.
Did you ask Patty?
This.
I did.
You did?
And I never had access to it. It wasn't available.
Because I had security prior to the.
Available for the meetings.
Okay. And I apologize for that. I don't have anything in that, but you should have, and I can tell you as a matter of when I had security to that, there were council login, like one through whatever.
We were never privileged to any of that.
Commissioner login, but I'm saying the usernames were there, whether or not you had passwords. So I am not aware of that because I did see that in there. That you did have, and I'm not the auditor, so that could have been an issue between
I could fire it up
that
if she
current
was sitting
auditor.
right there and try to get in it and could not.
And couldn't.
Could not. Been here for 2.5 years and now I can, now Andy can. But that was not possible in the past.
Wow. Okay.
So, that was controlled by an individual, not your office. We're not pointing fingers at anyone else down there. And what you said and what I just said, I personally asked for these reports. If our department heads are having a hard time understanding where they're at, go down to the auditor's office and ask. Get the reports that you need. I never had any problems asking for them, and I never had any problems getting them. All the information may not be on there that I want, but I got them. At least I had a cash balance and an idea of where we're going. So, again, our departments need to work together a little bit better, and we'll leave it at that. Elected officials, department heads, anybody else have anything? Go ahead, Diane.
Do you need to make a motion to approve for that check to be written?
Which check is that?
NSF check written to the county?
Is that ready to happen now? Okay. Jim, do we need to make that in a motion? Okay.
Yeah, that's right there, that's fine.
If you're gonna do it out of cycle, I guess.
Yeah, we'll have to do it out of cycle, but yeah, we'll make a motion to go ahead. Basically, we're covering that check, correct?
Yes, they have till the 26th at 3:30 to pay it back. That was their second option. And so we couldn't do anything until the 27th, and the 10th is our due date.
Have we had any, not that it matters, have we had any correspondence with this individual? Have they attempted to clear this thing up, or?
They paid by e-check online, and we've called 4 or 5 times. They've gotten 2 letters. We've made every attempt to try to get them, and no one is returning any of our calls or.
Do I hear a motion to approve to cover the check of $552 and?
$553 stuff, wasn't it? Was there a dollar service charge on?
Hang on just a second here, I'll find it. Buried back in the papers.
$552.98.
Yes, $552.98, and I think you're right, Bob, there was some kind of.
Dollar carrying charge or something, wasn't there?
We don't collect that.
You don't,
We don't collect that?
That's not ours, no.
Oh, okay.
So do I hear a motion?
I'll make that motion for that check. I do.
I have a motion by Bob, a second by Dale, all in favor? Aye. Okay.
Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
I got your answer, about the storage units. There's only 2 units available at this time.
Wow, that's shocking, because it wasn't that way a year ago. You know why? Because the heat's on, I guess, you know? Maybe he could rent them out to his relatives or something. Thank you for that, Sam. Go ahead, Andy. Oh, yeah. I'm getting to the commissioner's comments. I haven't got to the auditor yet. Since Sheila's not here, I don't know if she passed anything on for you. Jim, do you have anything else? Commissioners, Dale, do you have anything?
Nope.
Bob?
Not this present moment, no.
Okay, we are going today to verbally approve no longer requiring masks in our county offices. Officially today, it will be in a written form on the 17th. So I want to make that statement. We'll get that passed out in an email to everyone, that all county offices are mask free. Now, again, anybody that wants to continue to wear one, that's up to the individual. We'll never stop anybody from being safe. But I think for the most part, we're probably about maxed out on vaccinations. The people are gonna get them. Looks like it's declining pretty quick. I personally like to see more people get it, but that's my opinion. So anyway, I think that's all I had.
The only thing, Gary, on that mask free, if the courts want to require it, it's still okay for them to require it.
That would be up to Lori and Kelsey, I think.
The courts are, they operate on the Supreme Court guidelines, so that would be correct. So as far as entry of the employees, but anyone going in the court,
The requirements of what the judge
yeah,
said.
the judge would make that determination. So
Okay, I'm just
Sam, if you're gonna let
clarify that.
security guards know that officially today is fine, and then
We
we'll,
still doing temperature checks?
probably not necessary at this point.
I don't
If
see,
we're gonna remove the mask, I see no need for that as well.
I apologize. Now, I'm kind of, maybe I'm stepping in. As far as the temperature check, would that be okay? Let's just wait till the 17th. Because
Okay.
then do have a written order for
Written
everyone.
17th.
And maybe that would eliminate.
No, we don't do anything that's gonna get us in trouble. So if we can keep that going for 2 more weeks, Sam, and then we'll get these things fixed and hopefully moving forward. So, that's all I have, and I appreciate everybody being here, and, everybody have a great day. Now make a motion, I'm sorry.
Sorry. We had talked last time, I think, or time before, about us being able to change on the website our information.
Do we need to have another, we had a group and not everybody was able to attend.
Yeah.
I would get with Jim.
Okay.
Suzanne also needs to do that. Sam, I think maybe you guys have already doing that, Matt was on there.
We can also get you a copy of a short video that we did for everyone.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it's too big to email to you, so I have to do it to you in a flash drive.
It's very simple, because I can do it, and I'm telling you, it's simple.
Yeah.
You don't need to vote on the mask lifting, the lifting of the requirements, you don't need to vote?
We can take a vote on it. We haven't adjourned yet anyway.
Okay, I'm like, before you say adjourn, I
Well,
just
we're
need to
just
ask
gonna
you.
do a verbal, it'll be official when we do it in the actual ordinance.
Oh.
So it's just a verbal today, it will be actually voted on. We're all agreeing verbally that they don't, it's in effect. But we'll take the vote on the motion in the actual ordinance, okay?
Perfect. I just didn't want you to
Motion to
go.
adjourn. Okay, I got a motion for Bob to
Okay.
adjourn.
Don't go anywhere.
We got a ton of stuff to sign.
Everybody sign.
Yep, I second that motion. 3-0. Thanks, guys. Hey, no problem.
And that's.
What's that?
We have, yeah, she's got a box here and I'm gonna start signing and passing it that way.